So this isn't simply a personal thing. It's not just, I attend to the deeper spiritual impulse or yearning for my own benefit, my own personal benefit. That's not really, in the end, what I'm speaking about, because I think it's easy for spirituality itself to become very narcissistic. That, it's just about my own experience of the world, my own experience of being, my own freedom, my own sense of well-being. And if that's what it's all about at the end of the day, it's just another form of narcissism. Because what that impulse really reveals, that it's in its most fundamental place, is our identity as the whole, but also simultaneously, because yes, we are the whole, but we're also the parts. And we're also a part. We're all of that. We're a part, we're the whole, we're a part or a human being, and we're all beings. And there's this incredible interconnectedness. And it's from this deep experiential knowing, this deep revelatory kind of knowing, that we actually awaken a real deep kind of caring. But not a caring that's full of angst and anxiety and just another expression of restlessness, thrashing about on the surface of it all. But a kind of caring that's not fundamentally driven by restlessness or fear, but it's really simply it takes its form of expression as love. And love is a kind of participation. Love isn't just a thing that you sit in your room and you feel, held in the beloved's arms. That's lovely, and that's wonderful, and that can be transformative. But love is also a kind of, it's not isolating. It's not just sort of a private experience for me to have. Love also, I think, calls each of us to a deep and profound kind of participation in the act of being, the act of living, so that we actually become a loving presence in the world. And that can and often will take some very practical forms. But when the forms that love takes are actually coming from the root of being, then it's coming from a place that's full and complete and eternal. Therefore, it's not angst-driven and anxiety-driven and rage-driven. It's an expression of something that's whole, even as we participate in whatever way we participate in life, We're all participating. We can't get away from participating. And there's no particular way that we should participate. I don't know how people should be. Lots of times people want me to tell people basically what they should be doing, how they should be participating, how they should be saving the world. I personally don't see that as my part to play, because I simply don't know what anybody should be doing. I wouldn't pretend to imagine that I would know what anybody should be doing in this life. I would simply hope to be a part of people getting reconnected to their own roots, the ground of their own being, and discovering and having them discover and encouraging them to discover what way of participating in life, what way of being in life seems to be for them a real expression of their sense of wholeness and well-being and love. What's your expression of that? What's the way that you feel drawn to participate? And you don't have to wait until you have some enlightenment experience until you decide to participate. Everybody has their own deepest experience of love, whatever that is. We can all choose to, in a certain manner of speaking, or at least endeavor in some way, small ways and great ways, to express whatever our deepest sense of caring is, our deepest sense of compassion is, our deepest sense of togetherness is. Nobody need wait to begin to do that. But it is a challenge to remain connected to the life source, the wellspring of real love and real wisdom and real compassion in the midst of participation. And by participation, that could mean rallying for a cause. It could mean the way you interact with somebody at the grocery line of the store, or the way you interact with your friends or lovers or strangers. It can mean just about anything. We tend to compartmentalize. Well, this is going to be the avenue of my life through which I express love and compassion and wisdom. And this is where I'm going to do it. And, well, what are you doing on the other parts of your life? Why do we feel the need to segment life in that way? What if life itself just became about that? Who knows? But the ground of this really comes from where I began the program with tonight, and that's where I think I'm going to end it. So I might as well tell you I'm not going to be taking calls because we're just about at the end of the program. But it all comes back to this willingness to listen. And someone wrote me an email that says, sometimes it's tough to sit with my sense of restlessness. Yeah, I know it's tough. It's tough for me, too. It used to be tough for me when I was in my 20s and had a lot of restlessness and a lot of drive and a lot of all kinds of things. Of course, it was tough. It wasn't easy. And sometimes I did it with grace, and plenty of times I did it without much grace. But there is certainly the intention, and I realize the importance of it. Sometimes the only thing you're called to do is actually just be in a deep way with what's happening, even if it is restlessness or anxiety or whatever the given state is at the moment. Sometimes, actually often, you don't actually know what to do about it. You don't know what to do with it. You don't have a solution for it. I'm certainly not saying it's always easy to really attend in a deep way to these more restless energies of the exterior self. If it was easy, everybody would have done it. The reason people don't do it is because it's not easy. Sometimes. But I can remember one really critical time when I felt extraordinary restlessness. I felt almost like being a wild animal caught in a cage. And everything in me wanted to run. Everything. Except this smallest whisper of a voice, just a whisper, that just reminded me that to not run was the most important thing in my life. It didn't tell me how to do that. It just told me the most important thing right now is not to run. And fortunately, by some grace, I listened to that whisper. I suppose, at least in part, because I saw as a quite young person the tremendous chaos and confusion of so much of the world that I saw around me. And I knew if I just kept running from my own internal version of chaos and confusion, that I really had nothing to offer the rest of the world. Nor would it do me personally really any good either. And so I was able to, by some grace, to listen to that whisper. As if to say, be still. But it's difficult. Yes, it is. Be still. Listen. Deeply. Listen to what no one can tell you. Listen to what no one can give you. Neither me nor anybody else. Listen down to the very core of your being. And listen forever. Without end. And even though at times you may feel completely lost, even when you're attempting to listen, it's the sincerity that informs your attempt. It's the sincerity that informs your effort that is important. It's hard to see that for quite some time. It's hard to see how even if you feel quite lost, your sincerity is actually guiding the way. Because the sincerity acts in a subterranean way, often way out of one's conscious perception. But in retrospect, I can tell you the quality of your sincerity, which goes back to your original intention, is the most important part. And so even when you feel quite lost, you're actually not. Because your sincerity is finding its way, whether you're aware of it or not. And sometimes all you can do is trust that. Okay. Nice of you to join me and to share this time together. And I do hope you'll attend to that flame inside, whether it seems extremely obvious or very obscure. Be well. Namaste.